topic is all about owls. This is a little bio of Roger. I just found out that he grew up in Idaho on the right at the Snake River. So he has a master's degree in zoology. He has over 13 years experience with raptors and raptor education programs, 10 years in Kansas and 3 years in Georgetown. As an aside, the reason I'm reading this is for people who have phones, who are watching this on phones or other small devices where it'd be hard to read. He is also the vice president and education coordinator for all things wild rehabilitation in Georgetown. He also rescues injured raptors for all things wild so they do not injure people who find them. His favorite raptor is the great horned owl. So Roger.
Somebody tell Roger he's on.
It takes a while, honey, for it to do.
Betty, thank you for calling him honey.
I lost it.
That's okay. You'll find it. Have you hit share screen?
Yeah.
It
There
doesn't.
we go.
Okay.
There we go.
That's perfect.
Today I'm going to tell you about owls in general, and then the specifics about the 5 species that are pretty common in Central Texas. At the end, don't leave please, because I have a treat for you today. I brought along an ambassador eastern screech owl from All Things Wild. Owls are raptors, just like eagles and falcons and hawks. They all have 3 things in common. They have a curved beak that they use to tear their prey into bite-sized chunks. They have sharp, powerful talons that they use to capture and kill their prey, and they only eat meat. Now, owls we don't see very often because they primarily hunt at night. They can hunt in the daytime, but they usually are adapted to hunt mostly at night. Scientists have traced the origin of owls back over 80 million years. And over that time period, they have made some amazing evolutionary changes to be able to help them hunt at night. So let's go over some of those. The first one is their eyes. Their eyes are very large. Their eyes take up 75% of their head, where humans' eyes take up 5%. Their eyes also have extra light sensitive cells in them so that they can see 3 times better than humans can at night. They also can control the size of their pupils. We can't control ours because they're automatically react to light or darkness, but owls can control the size of their pupils, make them larger or smaller. They also have a membrane, a transparent membrane that's a second eyelid. It goes across sideways across their eyes so that they can blink and still see their prey. The only problem they have with their eyes is that they're not round like ours. Their eyes are tubular and they're fixed in their head. So they have evolved an amazing ability to look around them without moving their body. they can turn their head 270 degrees without moving their body. You can see the head is turned completely backwards and the body is still facing forward. They can do this because they have 14 bones in their necks where we only have 7. They also have elastic blood vessels in their neck so that when they turn their head, the vessels will stretch and won't cut off the blood flow to their brain. But owls do not use their eyes primarily to hunt at night. They use their ears. And they all have what's called a facial disc so that the sound travels across the face and is directed back toward the ears. The beak is flat against the face, and then the feathers around the beak and the eyes direct the sound back here to where the ears are. By the way, these are called ear tufts up on top of the head. Some owls have them and some owls don't. They can control these, and scientists aren't really sure what they're used for, but they can raise them or lower them depending on their mood. Now their ears are so sensitive that they can pick up sound 10 times better than we can. Some owls have offset ears where one is higher or lower than the other one to help them detect the direction of the sound. This is the side of the head, and this is the ear hole right here underneath the feathers. They also have an earlobe that they can direct toward the sound to help them detect it. So how good is 10 times? Cornell University did a study with barn owls. They took an indoor practice football facility. They made it completely dark. At one end, they put leaves and grass and live mice. At the other end, 100 yards away, completely dark, they released a barn owl, and he averaged less than 5 minutes in complete darkness to find a mouse 100 yards away. They could also hear mice up to 6 inches under the snow. That's how good their ears are. They also have these feathers along the front edges of their wings. And what these do is that they break up the sound as it travels, or correction, they break up the air as it travels over the wings. And so they fly silently. They don't make any noise when they fly, so that they can fly silently and then help use their ears to find their prey. Owls, as well as all other raptors except for vultures, do not have a sense of smell. And some of them, as I'll tell you in a little bit, have taken advantage of that. So let's talk about the 5 species found in Central Texas. The first one is the burrowing owl. Burrowing owls actually live in burrows in the ground where hard areas like around Central Texas, they use abandoned burrows, and they'll go down 8 to 10 feet and form a nesting cavity. These guys are about 8 to 10 inches tall, have a wingspan of about 1.5 feet, and they weigh 6 to 8 ounces. They also have long legs, and they prey on large insects, lizards, small rodents. They a lot of times will run down their prey. They can run really fast. They live 3 to 4 years in the wild, and in captivity, they live 10 to 15 years. Is what their babies look like. They also have That's what the sound that they make. They also have what to us is a messy habit. They take manure or feces and spread it around the opening of their burrow. And what this does is it helps the smell helps keep the predators away, and it attracts one of their favorite foods, which is the dung beetle. I don't think there are any burrowing owls in Sun City, but there are some in the area of Central Texas. They like plains and open areas because they were very prolific in prairie dog towns, and there were a lot of prairie dog towns. In soft areas like sandy areas like Arizona and Florida, they dig their own burrows with their feet. The second owl, oops, went too far. The second owl is the eastern screech owl. Eastern screech owls are very prominent in Sun City. They nest in nesting boxes or tree cavities. These little guys are about 8 inches tall. They have a wingspan of 1 foot to 1.5 feet, and they weigh 5 ounces. They're the smallest owl in North America with ear tufts. You can see the ear tufts here. These little guys come in 3 different colors. About 75% of them are gray. Another 10–15% are red. And then there's also a brown color. All 3 colors can show up in the same clutch. Let's listen to what they sound like. I have heard that several times since I moved to Sun City. So if you listen early in the morning, it's when they usually do this, then they talk back and forth to each other. This is called a Texas blind snake. It's about 6 inches long, about the size of a large earthworm, and they're found in Central Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. If the owls find one of these snakes, they will take it back to their nesting box, and they will put it in the box, and then the snake will eat the parasites, the feather mites and ticks and other parasites on the little ones and in the adults, and keep the parasites away. Of course, if the owl gets hungry, he can always invite the snake to dinner. The next one is the barn owl. The barn owl is the most widely distributed of any owl. They're found on 6 of the 7 continents. They're found in all 50 states. The barn owl is about 18 to 20 inches tall, has a wingspan of about 4 feet, but it only weighs 1 pound. It's very light, very little body fat, but they're also the most efficient hunter of all of the owls. They can catch 20 to 30 mice a night, a pair of them, when they're feeding little ones. They like to nest in barns and silos, and I found out about a year ago that in Texas, their favorite place to nest is a deer stand. That you can tell the male from the female because the male, in this case, has a white face and a white breast. The female has a speckled breast and speckles around her face. In Europe, these are called ghost owls. And you can imagine if you were in the Middle evil times and you went to your barn at night with a lantern and you opened the door and you saw this white thing come flying at you, and this is what you hear. These guys only live an average of 18 months. So they usually have 2 clutches a year. And because they don't have much camouflage, they're white, and they have very little body fat, so they're very susceptible to predators and to cold weather. The next one is the barred owl, B-A-R-R-E-D, named for the bars on its chest. They're a pretty large owl that do not have ear tufts. They're about 20 inches tall, have a wingspan of 4 to 4.5 feet, and they weigh about 3 pounds. They live 13, 14 years in the wild and up to 30 years in captivity. These guys are also cavity nesters, and any of them that are in Sun City are leaving because the great horned owls have kind of taken over the territory in Sun City, and when great horned owls show up, they kind of chase these guys off. These guys are found in eastern US, and they go up through Canada and down into Oregon and Washington. So there's a big conflict going on in Washington and Oregon because the barred owls are replacing an endangered species called the spotted owl. Same size, but they have spots on the breast. But the barred owls are a lot more aggressive. So conservationists in Oregon and Washington have taken a drastic step. What they're doing is they're finding the barred owls and they're shooting them to try to protect what spotted owls are left. So it's interesting what conservationists sometimes have to go through. Anyway, these guys are found along streams. We've received 3 or 4 of them from trees along streams and rivers in central Texas. If you ever hear this, you will not forget what this kind of owl this one is. The last one I want to talk to you about specifically is what I call the queen of the night, the great horned owl. Female great horned owls are a third larger than the males. They stand about 22 to 25 inches tall, have a wingspan of 4.5 to 5 feet, and they weigh up to 5 pounds. A lot of people say they're afraid of their dogs and cats. These owls definitely can prey on small dogs and small cats. They have no known enemies except man, and they have been known to take up to 250 different types of prey. They, in fact, are so aggressive that they don't even make their own nests. They are early nesters, so they start breeding in December and January. That's when you'll hear a lot of them hooting in Sun City. And then they have their young starting in January. They live up to 14, 15 years in the wild, and up to the oldest one in captivity was 50 years old. This is what their defensive posture looks like. If you frighten one and he goes into his defensive posture, he really puffs up and looks big. The only time I saw one do this was in Kansas when we had a great horned owl sitting on a perch while we were cleaning its cage, and I carried a bald eagle up beside it so I could treat the bald eagle, and the owl looked exactly like this. He was definitely puffed up. They come in different colors. Some young. This is one that I rescued out of a fireplace down in Round Rock. He wasn't injured, he was just a little bit dirty, but of course, he was a little bit mad too when I rescued him. These guys are the only known predators of skunks because they have powerful talons and strong talons, and they do not have a sense of smell. So skunks don't bother them. In fact, there was a nest in Maine where they found 30 different parts of skunks that the owls had been feeding on. They've been known to take down prey as large as a great blue heron or a full-grown Canada goose. So they're very aggressive, very strong, and I'm sure you've all heard this in Sun City. Okay. Raptors, including vultures, cannot digest the fur, the bones, the teeth, or scales of their prey. And larger raptors will eat smaller prey like mice and lizards, etc. They will eat them whole. They'll just swallow them whole. And so the parts that they can't digest form a pellet in their stomach made of fur and bones. And 12 to 18 hours after they ingest the prey, then they will throw this pellet up, sort of like a cat with a fur ball, but they don't make quite as much noise. They just kind of up and throw it up. And the little bitty ones, like the screech owls, their pellets look about half the size of a marble, but you get up to an eagle and their pellets can be 6 to 8 inches long. So let me give you the special treat I brought today. This is Ginger. Ginger is a red morph eastern screech owl. She came to us in April of this year, and she has a injured wing that didn't heal right, so she can't fly well enough to survive in the wild, and so she lives with us as an ambassador and as a surrogate to young screech owls. In fact, this spring, she helped us raise 7 baby screech owls. She got so involved in feeding the babies that a couple of times when she had 5 of them at one time, we had to take her and pull her out of the nesting box and let her rest for a day and then feed her because she wasn't eating. She was feeding all of the food to the babies. She looks a little scruffy right now because she's molting. All birds molt at least once a year, and so she's molting right now. Okay. I'll leave her out I'll answer any questions that people might have.
Well, we've got several. What are the predators of owls, Roger?
Well, actually, like screech owls are very susceptible, and barn owls to cats and dogs and foxes and raccoons, and to other owls. That's why I'm surprised that these little guys are still very prevalent in Sun City, because we have a large population of great horned owls here, and great horned owls will eat anything they can catch.
Well, why does the barn owl have such a short lifespan? Steve Kelly was writing most larger birds live longer.
Yes, they do. Except the barn owl, as you saw, has a white face, so they don't have a lot of camouflage like the other owls. Like this little guy, we can put him up against a cedar tree and you can't even see him. They blend right in. And when they're roosting in the daytime, then they will get up right against the tree and stretch out as far as they can next to the trunk so that they can blend in. Unfortunately, these little guys, as I forgot to tell you, that they're the second most hit by cars
Oh, no.
of all the birds, because they like to eat large insects and they like to hunt from perches. So they'll perch along the road and a car comes by and the headlights attract large insects, and these little guys dive down to get them. And so most of the injured ones we get in were ones that were hit by cars.
Mm-hmm. What do you feed your eastern screech owl?
Well, we feed her 1 mouse a day.
That's it?
That's it. She doesn't need a lot. We buy frozen mice and rats to feed the raptors, and she gets 1 mouse a day.
My goodness. Well,
Also,
go ahead.
as a treat, we also give her mealworms. She loves those.
Mm-hmm. What is the range of a nesting pair of owls?
I have never been able to find information on the territory or the range of great horned owls, but these little screech owls have an area of about 200 acres, so they move around quite a bit.
Mm-hmm. Janie Burrow is saying in Kansas City, where she worked for the Kansas City Rehab, and that they bought a baby barn owl to promote farmers not killing barn owls, and that owl is still alive after 11 years.
Yeah, they live a long time in captivity. They live 20 to 30 years in captivity. In fact, a lot of the vineyards in California are putting up nesting boxes and attracting barn owls because they're such good mousers. They're attracting barn owls to live in the vineyards and help take care of the rodents.
Mm-hmm. Plus, they're so cute. Who should we call if we find an injured owl?
Okay, you want to call All Things Wild. If you find any injured wild animal, including fawns, we take in fawns. We don't take in adult deer because we really don't have the facilities to handle or take care of adult deer. But this year we took in 22 fawns.
Wow, what happened to them?
Well, we're starting to release them now. So we released, last Saturday, we released 9 of them. And as the rest of them grow a little older, we release them in areas, people that have large farms or large tracts of land that don't allow hunters on there. So we found several of those we can release them on. The adult injured raptors that we get in, we try to release them back to where they came from because they have established territories and mates in that area. So we try to put them back with their mate if they survive and we rehabilitate them.
Mhm. Have you seen blue jays attack screech owls? Steve Kelly's saying he's seen that before.
I have not, but
Well,
blue jays and crows will attack owls, particularly great horned owls. Crows and jays mob great horned owls because, of course, the great horned owl raids their nests and destroys the eggs.
oh, that's never good. Well, Dee is saying in the Big Bend area that a great horned owl dived at his headlight. Unfortunately, is that behavior typical?
No, it was
I hope not. Hmm?
probably I have feedback here. He probably had a large insect or something in the headlight, and so the owl might have been going at that.
Mm-hmm. If we have a screech owl box, how should we monitor and maintain it?
You want to, we sell them at All Things Wild, and you can get them from the carpentry shop.
Mm-hmm.
And you want to put them up in a tree with open access to get in and out of the box, and put it up at least 10 feet or higher in the tree. And you want to put some wood shavings in the bottom, about 2 or 3 inches of wood shavings. And I don't have any owls in mine yet, but sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years for them to find the box and start using it.
If we need to get in touch with All Things Wild, is it better to call them or text them or?
You
Either
can
one.
message them, or you can call them and look them up. And if you're really interested in following what kind of animals we're getting in, you can friend us on Facebook, All Things Wild Rehab. And because of the COVID, we can't have any open houses now.
Mm-hmm.
But if anybody in the Nature Club has not been out there, it's only 6 miles from Sun City. If you haven't been out there yet, then you can give me a call or text me or send me an email, and I'll give you a free tour.
Oh, that would be great. Roger, now what's your last name again, in case people don't know it?
Yeah, it just shows up Roger, doesn't it?
Yeah,
Rucker.
well, I know there's more to it, but.
Rucker, R-U-C-K-E-R.
Okay, Roger Rucker. And isn't there something coming up in December also out there?
Oh, yeah, thanks for reminding me. I'll put an email out for everybody, but we're going to have an online open house on the 5th and 6th of December, where we'll have different programs and
Oh, that'd be great.
give virtual tours of our facility. I said it's only 6 miles from here, and it's interesting. We leased 2 acres from Blue Moon Equine Rescue. So there's always donkeys and small horses and stuff wandering around over their property, as well as all the animals we're taking care of.
Well, wow, that seems to be all the questions we have, which was quite a lot of them. If there are any more, y'all write them down real quick. Otherwise, is there anything else you want to share with us, Roger? We really have appreciated this. It's been great. They're beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Oh, I love taking care of owls. Like I said, especially the great horned owl, because it's very aggressive. I've been taloned 3 times by great horned owls, and it's painful, but you just need to be careful with them and wear big, heavy gloves. And don't try to pick one up on your own. It's better to call somebody from All Things Wild to come pick it up. It's like trying to pick up a rattlesnake and
Yeah.
carry it off by yourself.
Yeah, definitely. We don't want to do that. Well, now, when owls are fixed on their prey that they have identified by sound, they're not aware of, what does that say? Let's see.
Automobiles. Yeah,
Could
that's,
be. Of automobiles, and they get hit diving at for their prey.
yes, they do. That's automobiles are the worst injured
Predator.
in predators
It's a predator.
for raptors is because they don't realize what they are, and they'll dive down and get hit by the car when they're trying to catch something else.
Oh my goodness. Would you want to give us your phone number, or is it just, I'm sure it's probably in our Sun City directories.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and give it to you. It's 913
Mhm.
764 4357.
Great, great. And how did you get into rehab?
When I retired, I decided I wanted to get back into working with conservation and animals, and discovered Operation Wildlife there close to Kansas City. And when I got involved in that, then I took a lot of training and practice at raptors, and so I gave raptor education programs.
Oh, that's wonderful. And now your friend doesn't want to look at us for some reason.
Yeah,
Let me get her.
Can you put him back by your head a little bit? Maybe he'll look,
He'll probably bite your head off. No,
turn his head around so we can see it.
no, he wants to look at you, I think.
Yeah.
Well,
Thanks.
Yeah,
yeah, there he is.
He's rotating.
He's fixated on you. Well, Roger, this has just been great, and we want to thank you. We've had several people saying what a great presentation this has been, and we really appreciate it. And we're looking forward to seeing more about All Things Wild.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. And Bill, whenever you're ready, and everybody's saying thank you, thank you.